Yeah. Ruth already took care of that, Anne Marie.
Yeah.
She already took care of it.
All right, way to go. Excellent.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the agenda for the Committee of the Whole meeting, September 25, 2017. I'd ask City Clerk to please call the roll.
Jacobson? Fanouken?
Here.
Marquardt?
Here.
Fagan?
Here.
Noriko?
Here.
Verbeck? Favor?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
6 present.
Alderman Verbeek called earlier today, and he will be here, but he figured maybe a half hour late. I had asked him to provide me with any comments that he may have regarding our topic tonight. He gave me none, so I'm sure that if he has some, he will follow up with those. I have not heard from Alderman Jacobson. However, I would expect Dave to be at the meeting of this meeting and the city council also tonight. There are no items on the regular agenda that are going to be discussed at tonight's Committee of the Whole meeting, so we'll move right on to our one topic for tonight, and that is the downtown wireless internet opportunity. I'd like to ask our Information Technology Director, Mark Thorson, to come to the podium and start the evening's proceedings. Mark?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm bringing before you an opportunity that I was able to find out about through interactions with colleagues at different municipal agencies, and had an idea of that it might provide some opportunities that the city itself couldn't provide, but with a public-private partnership, we might be able to. I wanted to clarify one thing. There are two agenda items. This Committee of the Whole agenda item is to talk about this opportunity. This opportunity is just at a discussion phase, and we're looking for council and community feedback before staff spends more time discussing this with the company involved. There is an agenda item on tonight's agenda that has to do with an intergovernmental agreement between the city and Northern Illinois University regarding a limited scope project that we can discuss further. But I did want to mention that these are two different items. However, they do have the same end game when it comes down to it. We're looking to provide wireless internet to the downtown business district and do it in a cost-effective and as a cost-effective manner as we can. So, with that, as I was explaining, I was tasked with attempting to figure out how to get Wi-Fi into the downtown area and determine how much we have in terms of funds and what we could do. When discussing this with colleagues, I came across one of mine from a nearby park district, Naperville Park District, that had a similar dilemma. They were tasked to provide internet to an entire area, and they didn't have enough funds to be able to do that themselves. So he reached out to a company called Digital Lobby. And through that, and through various partnerships with that, with his project, he was able to get his project in a manner of speaking almost started. From my perspective, I saw an opportunity to be able to provide a service to the community, but also be able to gather more information about our customers, whether they're residents, visitors, businesses, to allow the city to make more informed decisions by gathering more data and being able to use it. And that's really where I feel this project takes us. It allows us to expand beyond just being able to provide a service to the residents and visitors, but it also allows us to be able to gain insight into those people and be able to understand what services we're providing and how to make better decisions using that information we can gather. With regards to that, there's only a couple other items that I'd like to point out before I introduce our presenters from Digital Lobby. And that is right now the city has only had discussions with Digital Lobby to find out what it is they do and what services they can provide. We have not gone any deeper in terms of any type of negotiations or anything. We wanted to bring this before you and before the community and an opportunity to be transparent and have discussion and get feedback before we start moving forward. I also had the opportunity to reach out to the DeKalb Library District and the DeKalb Park District to get their feedback. And overall, the feedback was positive, but they also have more questions and they want to have more dialogue with it. So with that, I'd like to be able to introduce from Digital Lobby, Kevin Niebergall, Lou Phillips, and Kevin Karch.
That's it?
Yep. Please come on.
Hey, I'm live. All right. Can you all hear me? Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks for having us out tonight. You know, I met Mark a couple months ago, and he had a great grasp and understanding right away for what we were doing. And the immediate challenge he gave us, which we hear typically from park districts all around the country, is, hey, I want to do this, but we only have this amount of money. Can you help us? I said, yes, we'll get there. But what I'm about to show you tonight is it's a lot more than just bringing infrastructure into a city. It's about connecting the city, connecting NIU to DeKalb, connecting DeKalb to NIU, and I'm going to show you how all that works. There's going to be a little bit of marketing speak in here, so I hope you can put up with that. So really, these are the kind of what we do as Digital Lobby. So we call it community Wi-Fi. It's no or low-cost infrastructure to the city. And that, when I say no or low cost, to you guys it'll be no cost. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. It's all enterprise equipment, right? So we bring in all the top OEMs, Samsung, Cisco, Ruckus, whoever fits for that job. And we have partnerships and relationships with those. You get our Digital Lobby platform, which I'll show you here very shortly. There's a community and business integration piece that you'll see in here. And then what Mark touched on slightly is analytics. You're going to get analytics and find out, you know, we went to a major park district in Illinois, and we asked them, because we need to know, like, how many people come through your zone. And we said, hey, you know, how many people come through? And they're like, we don't know. What do you mean you don't know? How do you figure it out? They actually had people with pens and paper on a clipboard writing it down. That's how hard it was for them. We're going to provide you all that, which should hopefully help the police, the fire, the city, the planners, all that, to gather to find out where people are going, where they're congregating, and all the different things that you're going to see. So the goal is this. The goal is to connect NIU to DeKalb, connect DeKalb back to NIU. For this particular presentation, we're going to call that the community, okay? So we're going to take this community that we have now of DeKalb and NIU, and we're going to connect it to your local businesses, right? So think of the community as the infrastructure, as the governing body, and all the businesses are what make it a live community. And then we're going to take those consumers and we're going to connect them to the businesses. And how do we do that? We do that through our platform, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. And once we have this ecosystem, we can then take the brand dollars, because they want to be part of your community, and we can use those brand dollars to build out the infrastructure, and it's all paid for at no cost by the city. So I know some of you guys are like, are we going to be NASCAR? I'll get to that. Okay? So in the very beginning, when we met with, we have relationships with Fortune Brands, And we met with Pepsi. And I don't know how many people, have you been to Starbucks? Have you logged in to a captive portal like, hey, log in, and okay. So they're like, yeah, we're familiar with captive portal, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you guys are talking about driving money through a captive portal, we at Pepsi love the idea, but we're not going to call up Dallas Cowboy Stadium, Museum of Science and Industry, all these different IT guys. If you guys are going to build this, build it as a channel being in marketing, billboard, radio, television, mail, email, build it as a channel. So you know what we did? We built it as a channel. So the challenge in what we do on the technology side is if you look in Chicago, there's thousands of Wi-Fi networks. You guys see like Comcast and Verizon, hey, log into our Wi-Fi hotspot. The challenge for us to build this channel was not only do we have all these individual Wi-Fi spots, there's all these different types of equipment in there. So what we did was we built an over-the-top software that connects all the Wi-Fi. So to us, it's one giant Wi-Fi network. And actually, it doesn't matter whether it's Chicago, DeKalb, Naperville, Fremont Street, New Orleans, Sedona, it's all one Wi-Fi network to us. And this now allows the brands to go in and they say, hey, you know what, I only want to be at NIU. I only want to be at Museum of Science and Industry. I only want to be on Fremont Street. They can go to an individual place. They can go to a geographic area. Hey, I want to be in the whole north side of Chicago. They want to go to a vertical market type. Hey, sorry. How many golf courses you guys got all around the country? Oh, we got 42. Okay, it's Nike. We only want to be in the golf courses. And then there's demographic types. So when you talk about a captive portal, right, where you log in somewhere, that's this, okay? All this is Digital Lobby, and that's what I'm about to show you. Not all of it. I'm going to touch on a lot of it high level because I want to get through this and open up for questions. So let's talk about the Wi-Fi experience. When someone comes in to DeKalb, okay, they're going to log into, now this is all in the public space, they're going to log into the DeKalb public Wi-Fi network. If they're at NIU, it'll be the NIU Wi-Fi network. It's still all connected on the back end. They're going to log in. We're going to ask them. Well, I'll show you that in a second. Then they go to the sponsor page. There's a lobby page, which I'll show you. There's a couple other pieces in here, a Go Local piece, and then there's a Wi-Fi recap. So I only want to highlight on a couple things. First of all, the login page. On the login page, we want to make it simple for people to get in. We're not going to give them 82 social platforms to log in through. It's very simple. It's an email login or it's a Facebook login. They touch the Facebook thing, they're on. They give us their email address or their zip code, they're on. They only have to log on one time. After that, it's if they log in with email, it's welcomebackjoey@gmail.com or it's welcomebackjoesmith with his Facebook icon. That's it, single sign on. And then, so we remember them, and then each login screen is customized per place. So if it's at NIU, it looks, and actually for NIU, we can do all sorts of different things. There could be a different login screen for the convocation center, if we do something with all the lunch areas, all that stuff. And we could even break it up in the city where if you have different places in your city that are highlighted, right, it's a different screen for that. The other thing I want to highlight here, and this is important, this is how we connect everything. So this is our lobby page. So they log in, they go through the sponsor page, they end up on a lobby page. Each lobby page is unique to the place. And in the beginning, this was really important. When you guys go into a new building, the first thing you walk in and you're like, where am I? You go find the lobby board, find out what's going on there, right? Show the events, show the floors, all that stuff. So we created this lobby board for local businesses, for municipalities, for venues that they could post into. So when the business, or in your case, the community signs up, email goes out, they put in their password, they click submit, and it says connect your lobby to your social. And they put in your Facebook, their Twitter, their Instagram, all those things. When they click submit on that button, this page here is formed. And what it'll do is it'll pull through all their social pictures, it'll pull through all their social feeds, and it drops them on a board where they can very simply post offers and announcements and events of everything that's going on in the area. And so that process there, I'm going to show you how we're going to re-leverage that in a second, I hope. Okay, so remember our blue dots that we had in Chicago. So this is Naperville Park District. This is a section of it. So once we get the municipality, it's our job. We call that the anchor, right? Because all the businesses, all the people want to be associated with the anchor, where the action is. Once we get these, Naperville would be the blue dots in here. Once we get the Park District signed up, then it's our job to meet with the chamber and go out and sign up the local businesses. Once those are signed up, they all have lobby boards. They post their stuff, and we end up with something called Go Local. Now, I don't know how many of you guys own small businesses in here, but typically when we go to a small business, you know, they don't know how to market. You know, what are you guys doing for marketing? Oh, doing Facebook. I got a listing in the Yellow Pages. I do this thing in the Shopper. What we've created here is a hyper-local content for local municipalities. So each business that signs up gets a listing, and when you click on that listing, they get the lobby page. But it pulls a live feed of all the events and all the offers created by each business. And that just runs dynamically all the time as businesses are changing things, as offers are expiring, all that. It's all live, it's all dynamic. The businesses are all sortable by category, the offers, everything. That's true hyper-local content, something Google's been chasing for a lot of years. Now, let's talk about our blue dots. If you remember our blue dots back here, we knew that if we went into a community and we signed up the municipality, and then we went and signed up all the local businesses, and we took and turned around and handed that person's the email contact back to the business, we knew that the user would get inundated with communication from a million different things, and it would be considered spam. So we decided to go a different way around the tree and be relevant to the user, and we created something called the Wi-Fi recap. The Wi-Fi recap gives the users a simple recap of where they've been, because if they logged in somewhere, we know where they've been. So for this particular Wi-Fi recap, it goes out and it says, hey, you visited DeKalb, brought to you by Chevy. You visited Fort Hill, brought to you by BMO Harris. You visited City of Chicago Beaches, brought to you by Chase. But oh, by the way, Mr. User, since we know where you came from, because we have your home zip code, here's your Go Local, and here's everything that's happening in your local community. So it's relevant to the user. Now, on the back side of that, we're pulling analytics, a lot of analytics, okay? So for the first time ever, hopefully, you guys will be able to tell how many people entered a zone. Where did they visit it? You know, now I can't tell you who it is because we don't know that. All we know is a phone that had Wi-Fi on it entered an area. And how that happens is all your phones right now are all looking for a Wi-Fi channel if you have Wi-Fi enabled on it. And it hits that access point, and the access point's like, hey, I'm over here, and the phone's like, cool, do you want to log in? Some people do, some people don't. So it hits that. So now we can tell you where the people are congregating, how many passersby you had, where they went, all those kind of things. Again, not specific to the user, it's just a number. Then we're going to tell you how many people logged in. You guys are going to be building as a city, okay, as a university, you're going to be building a database of users that will be communicated to and remembered. So you're going to get new versus return, and you're going to get unique users, which would be your database. Now, not everyone's going to log in with Facebook. We found out that about 42% of people use Facebook, though it might be higher for you, depending on your demo. And of that, those who log in with Facebook, we can give you male versus female, age range, and something, again, because we're one Wi-Fi network, you're now going to be able to tell where your visitors came from, their home zip code, where they originated from. So when we were presenting to Fremont Street in Vegas, and they have no idea. I mean, people walk in and out of there all the time. They had no idea how many people came in and out. And I showed them that, and then I said, oh, and by the way, you can tell where your people came from. He flipped the pen on the table. He's like, well, how do I sign up for this? I mean, it was game over. So that's a very unique thing where now, if you guys are marketing as a city and you're going out into the surrounding cities and your count ticks up from that city, you know your marketing's working as a municipality. Now, that's overwhelming. Calm down. These are talking points, okay? We're very creative, okay? We do need to subsidize this program. And when we subsidize it, we do it, you guys heard Chase Field, right? You know, Bank of America ballpark. Think of, for a brand, like title sponsorship, naming rights, okay? They're not naming your city, they're getting naming rights for the Wi-Fi network. They're sponsoring your Wi-Fi network. And for that, we have to give up something. You as a community have to give up something. We need some assets to drive some dollars through. So there's all these different ways we can drive dollars through signage, through banners, through digital signage, through things on bus stop. It's not going to be all of it. We'll work with you, we'll work with the city. Before we do anything, this is one of the first things we do is we go in and we negotiate assets with you so it can fit. And we theme it for the city. But if you look here, it's all about DeKalb. It's the DeKalb Wi-Fi network brought to you by, right? It's a utility. It's brought to you by. You know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you are old enough to remember putting quarters in a phone, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys have been to the bathroom, so it's bathroom. It's a utility. Wi-Fi is a utility. We're just getting it sponsored by the brands. The other thing we do is for the brands, we'll go and work with the municipality or the park district, and we'll give them integration. So you guys will announce, hey, we have free Wi-Fi, and the brand might be doing an initiative. It might be Nike, it might be Chevrolet, whoever that is, where they'll be giving stuff away. They'll be interacting with the community. And you can post that in your social. Hey, come out to this event today and you'll get this. Or, hey, we're doing this really cool activation over here. And so we do it with social, and we do it through printed media and mailers and things like that. So that's the whole program, okay? Now I want to talk about where the value you guys are going to get to have a true Wi-Fi network in your city. When Mark originally came to us, he had 10 access points up, okay? That's all they could afford. And they're what's called meshed, so they weren't all wired in. They had to go hop to hop to hop, and you lose connectivity. But that's all he could do, and he wanted to build a foundation. With this, we're going to give you a true Wi-Fi network. So everything you see that's covered in green here, people are going to be able to connect to, okay, throughout this whole entire area. Now, you guys have a really interesting competitive advantage over most municipalities, and you got the NIU guys here. So along with this, we're going to leverage those guys, and we're going to connect it back in because they've already got all their Wi-Fi networks put up, and they've done a very good job. And we're going to connect these, and it's basically all going to be one Wi-Fi network. But the dollars we drive from that will help to pay for this. So now it's all one. And we can expand from there. But the important thing is you guys get a foundation. Because once we get past this, and we got that foundation built, now this is where the city planners get all excited. Now you can start to hang your Internet of Things on this. Your parking meters, your water meters, your trash cans. When brands and cities, you know, Miller Beer, Pepsi, they come and they have all these new things hanging on their refrigerators and screens. Everybody can connect to this network. You guys will have access to, once that backbone's in, okay, we put the backbone in, they've got the backbone through their fiber connection, and through our partnerships and our IoT partnerships and all that, you guys will be able to start leveraging that, which we've given you, right, to then help, you know, do controls, you know, for street lights. And again, it doesn't matter. That's all future talk. Right now, let's get the foundation in. Let's get it built. And once we're there, then we can layer on top of it. That's all I got. Is that fast enough? Open it up for questions, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to
Are you going to say something else?
just wrap up real quick.
Okay, wrap up.
Do you want to make a few comments, Mark, prior to us opening it up? Or?
Absolutely. It's
Okay.
just a very quick, just wrap-up statement that this is a collaborative effort with the university. And we're excited about this because it provides us so many more opportunities that with this public and private partnership than we really could do on our own. And I think that sums it up. And quite frankly, we can start building on this as we are able to negotiate and figure out what works for the city, what works for the university, and have those discussions. This enables us to be able to gain more insight and really help the city and the university out at the same time, as well as building a foundation for the future as part of the strategic plan, being able to bring us into a position where we can become a smart city. And in my mind, what that means is being able to collect data, be able to use data to make data-driven decisions, and really help the city out with regards to its services and opportunities. So with that, I'd like to open it up for any questions and comments.
I'm going to get a question in here before I turn it over to my city council. From the map that Kevin had provided and the backup material shows us, it shows basically the area of community Wi-Fi to being the downtown area. And I take it that is driven by the fact that we as a city, that is one of our primary focuses on economic development. That's where the core of our businesses are. Kevin may have mentioned it, I didn't catch it, and that is, I assume that this is expandable as we see the success of this moving forward. Is that correct?
Yes. Just to steal a phrase from Director Charlton from our last meeting, the infrastructure projects in the downtown area are there to help really emphasize the other work that's going on. The downtown business district obviously has a lot of excitement and is building right now, so we wanted to capitalize on that as well and be able to drive that home. This is absolutely can be a phase one, which at that point we can start building on and adding more areas and being much more inclusive to the entire city and go as far as the city would like to go, as well as the university.
Well, I have some more questions. I'd like to open this up to our city councilman. Any comments or questions? Alderman Fanouken.
And I guess this is really a question more for, I think it's Kevin, right?
Yes.
With the university community, you get a lot of student residents who, we'd like them to use the 60115 zip code as their home when they log in. But more likely, they're going to log in with their home number. So how do we differentiate if it's a student who's here all the time or somebody who's visiting from another zip code? And I'll just say, say you have a student from 60608 in Chicago. And so they're here as a student, but we don't know if they're really two-day transit or if they're here for a semester. Is there a way to differentiate?
There could be. I mean, we could do that. Again, it's our platform. So on the login screen, we can prompt them to say, are you an NIU student? Put the NIU zip code in. We could do that.
Or just a checkbox.
Or just a checkbox.
Just a
Yeah,
checkbox.
we're real flexible.
Yeah.
Add, change.
Okay.
You see how Facebook's on the top? I mean,
Yeah.
that basically was changed by,
Yeah. No, that's right. And then just, from looking at the provided map, it looks like the range of an individual hotspot has about a 1-block range.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much, there's a lot of technical stuff behind it. It just depends on what type of equipment we use, how much bandwidth is behind it. I can go back here real quick. Typically, and this is our network engineer, 300 to 500 feet per access point.
You could say 600 because of it being an outdoor.
Yeah,
Okay.
an outdoor.
All right, so then though, let me just one step further here.
Go ahead.
Along those lines, obviously, and I'll use our Cornfest activity where we have a potential for a lot of users downtown. What kind of capacity do we have, or
Great
is there a way
question.
to have temporary extra capacity for big events?
100% yes. That's a great question. And so, again, it's about putting the foundation in, right, having that backbone. And then you're right, for Cornfest, so typically an access point is going to carry up to 500 users. So if you're having Cornfest and you've got, 45,000 people, yeah, and it's in a specific area, we're going to have to put extra access points in. But the great news is, we've already got the pipe there. It's just a matter of adding temporary access points for an event.
All right, thank you.
Alderman Noriko.
Thank you. A citizen raised a question that I'd like to pass on. This individual stated that with his phone provider, his mobile provider, he actually had Wi-Fi access. So he raised the question about, well, why do we need this kind of access? I don't have the technical knowledge to know, to even hazard a guess what the response is. So what is the response to that?
You or me?
I would just say that universal. The Comcast is just Comcast.
That's all right. So there's a multifaceted answer for that, and I don't want to bore you, but as you know, technology develops, right? It's constantly changing and constantly increasing. Your wireless networks, and I'm not going to bore you with technology, are only so big and they can only handle so much data. The new Samsung devices are actually going to have a gig throughput. You're not going to get that through your Wi-Fi network. And the millennials...
Should I be thrilled that I'm going to have a gig
I don't know. You should.
throughput?
Well, maybe you. Well, that's very. You're right, because I'm old. Okay, I don't.
Oh, no.
I don't really need that. But the kids that are going there, and the kids that are coming up, they want that stuff. And as the demand for more bandwidth and larger applications, even though YouTube's streamlining and all that, we need to have this foundation built, because yes, of course there's going to be 4G, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff. The bottom line is, the other thing is with millennials, and this is interesting. We were meeting with a stadium down south, and Lou was there, and so the guy has to say, why do we need Wi-Fi? I mean, we could just use our 4G. And Lou said, hey, do you got other people in the office? Yeah, bring them in, okay? And so he lined them up. There was like, what, 6-8 people there?
I would say that everybody here asks the same question.
Right, and he said, where'd you buy your phone? Walmart. Where'd you buy your phone? Online. Where'd you buy your phone? And half of them, almost all of them, hadn't bought it from the carrier. How do you get your service? We hop on Wi-Fi networks. All these different things. It's evolving. Just like your television stations, your Comcast, your UVerse, all that content is eventually going to end up online. I mean, the networks are scared to death because that's where it's all going, because it's all going to the pipe. And what our job is to put this foundation in and then make your city prepared for the changes in the future, to do a little bit of future proofing, and then adapt as we go, to adapt to what the constituents want. I know that's a long-winded answer, but...
So, as I understand or interpret your explanation, this really is kind of the base that other mechanisms kind of link into?
That too, yes.
Okay.
That too. It's an ever-evolving technology. Wi-Fi's like one of the oldest technologies out there. It's been around since the 70s. And it's always been there, but now it's starting to increase and get more leverage. Eventually, and again, this is way technical, but I'll break it down, everything is going to be Wi-Fi in one form or another. Whether you're basically, the cell towers one day are going to be like giant Wi-Fi networks. It's just a different way of transport. But I don't want to take you down that road.
And I want to jump in from a non-technical perspective, my non-techie perspective.
Yeah.
So if you as a person are visiting one of the businesses in the downtown, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's the bagel place, you name it, and they don't have local Wi-Fi, you would be able to hop onto this Wi-Fi and be able to access the internet. So that's point number one. Point number two is from an economic development perspective of being able to have this Wi-Fi in the downtown. And think of all the projects that you as the council have approved. This is another marketing tool for the downtown. It also addresses the issue that we've talked about with the university, is how do we become more marketable to the students, and how do we make the downtown more marketable towards them. So this is, just as technology keeps changing, we're doing more and more on our phones, even more probably than our iPads, because that's what you have handy. And it's to make it, when you go into downtown or when you go to the university, it's as friendly as possible accessing the internet.
And can I add another point too? Is this on?
Yeah.
I believe through this process as well, if I hop on to the City of DeKalb's downtown Wi-Fi, it's going to be a customized experience for me. Sure, I could use my, carrier's free Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi that comes with the plan, but that's not going to give me the alerts that there's a sale going on at 20% off at this local vendor, or are the events that are going on in the City of DeKalb downtown. So hopping onto the free City of DeKalb's Wi-Fi provides them a very unique and customized experience that they would not get through the carrier. So they're not going to get those alerts and that login page that's going to show them what's happening in DeKalb, and here are the sales, and here are the events that you should know or be aware of. So I think that's a huge benefit on why hop on to the DeKalb free Wi-Fi versus just using your carrier's Wi-Fi. Is that correct? Did I explain that?
100%.
Yes. That's 100%. And let me tag
Can
on
you
to that.
add to that? 'Cause
No,
I-
well, you covered it. I mean, here, you want to?
Yeah.
So I like her. And I like her too. They're on our side. So, you guys hear about, Comcast hotspots, Verizon hotspots. Well, they put those hotspots out there, and they are hotspots, but we have a kind of a goofy saying, crappy Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi. We don't ever want the person to have a poor experience. So if we're going to bring in pipe, we're not bringing in 20 meg. We're going to bring in, 300 meg, so that user can have a really good experience. A lot of times on those Wi-Fi hotspots, they'll give you a couple meg, enough to check your email, enough to check a few things on there, not the ability to stream NBC Sports app at 8 meg. And so that's kind of our goal.
Okay.
Now, when Cornfest is here, okay, we might have to get a little creative, but we have to open up the pipe, burst the Wi-Fi, burst the signal up, the bandwidth up, and do different things to accommodate for that. But on an everyday basis, our Wi-Fi, and the other thing is, to your point, yes, we'll make it a robust, customized, beautiful experience with all that, but there's a security for the user knowing that you guys are standing behind it. It's the DeKalb Wi-Fi network. It's secure. There's that comfort level in there, and there's that familiarity that they're going to enjoy. So you can, I like you. Can you help us write some?
Alderman Fagan.
I'm glad you touched on this. How secure is this network?
Beyond secure. So we have the security that comes from on the firewall side that comes out of the fiber. I'm sure you guys have security in place, all sorts of it. And then we layer that security. So there's different types of security that you can put. We jokingly say we want to keep the user from hurting themselves, right? So there's this thing called whitelisting, where you block out all the bad sites, all the pornography, all that stuff. That's typical, okay? Then we also block out BitTorrent, okay? And all these different things that will help so that your network never gets compromised. Now, the other thing is, when you talk about security, this is why it's important to distinguish the public Wi-Fi network from the private city Wi-Fi network, okay? Because where are they going to go? There's nowhere for them to get back to.
I guess I should clarify a little bit more. I know on public Wi-Fi, you shouldn't be getting in your bank statements using your passwords and everything, because somebody could be there trying to pick that up. Will that happen on ours, or could it?
Never say never.
Right.
Somebody'd have to get pretty doggone creative to try to get in there. But also, you would have to be on the network at the exact same time. They would have to target you, and we block all that stuff. So nobody else can see each other on the net. Am I correct in saying that?
But there's still a few unique hacker problems that are out there. Shadow access points.
Is it more secure than public Wi-Fi?
Oh, yes.
I mean, from that point of view.
Yes, great point, though.
Okay.
Great point. And that's why I wanted to bring up security. I'm sure Lou was like, don't talk. No, it's all good. I mean, we have to deal with this on a lot of municipalities.
Outreach. We inform the public constantly. This is a public network. From South Carolina to Michigan, wherever there's public networks, we inform them on terms, and it's a public network, please be respectful, don't do things like that. And, I mean, those are terms and disclaimers that we put on there everywhere.
And our terms of service cover all that. You know, if you go on this bicycle and fall down and hurt yourself, you're liable. But having said that, we have to look ahead and account for all that stuff all the time. And that's why we put all those heavy-duty firewalls. You know, I mean, Kevin's going to be the one working on, and he's done stuff for the DOD before. And you know those guys don't play around.
Alderman Jacobson.
A comment first and then some questions. I know at one of the sessions this week, and both at the session and in my professional life, that the old demographics info that is being collected out there, that was the old way of doing things, purely traffic counts and market demographics by household income, those days are gone. I mean, for a legitimate national retailer to come in, they want the detail level of what is your age demographic, what is your male and female demographic, they want that information up front. I mean, I had a tenant reach out and ask me those things. Can you provide those things before they'd even open a conversation or disclose who they were? So that level of additional economic development tool is significant for a city to have, without a doubt. I recognize that off the bat. In terms of some of the more network specifics, because I would guess I am probably one of the more technologically inclined amongst the council.
Sure, great.
What sort of encryption are you using in your networks? I mean, what?
You want to answer that?
Mostly AES.
Okay.
AES 256.
In discussing what we have currently in DeKalb, obviously, we aren't just on a hotspot. Comcast is rolling out 5G. Most of the downtown network is already covered at this point. It's a little spotty, happens to be in this building, but they are rolling out in the downtown. Hardware-wise, how compatible are you with the 5G standard, and what does that look like? Knowing that's on the very near horizon for us, either the LTE standard or the 5G standard is coming.
Yeah, it'll be a different network at this point. Right now, there isn't a homogeneous merging of Wi-Fi and 5G. There will be that coming out in the next version of handsets. Basically, probably all the 11s or 9s, depending on whether you're talking Apple or Samsung. That'll be a 3.5 gigahertz band. So that's evolving, and the systems that we're putting in place will then meld everything together. But 5G and Wi-Fi are pretty much two separate platforms.
And knowing that, again, my worry is now obviously with how quickly things are changing, and they rapidly develop into different markets and different bandwidths, obviously. Is there any risk in us in jumping and doing this now and realizing that we're a dinosaur in a year, that we can't compete with some of the 5G offerings the other competitors in the market will be offering?
Not necessarily.
Well, go ahead.
Sure, not necessarily, because there is evolution in Wi-Fi networks. I mean, basically, within the last 3 years, we've been through 4 major hardware releases, if you look at kind of the overall evolution of the hardware. So things will continue to evolve. Areas that are important, which we feel this is, to the phase 1, that will be upgraded first.
And so I'll ask you, like, to what end is that, right? Like, you talk about being a dinosaur, like, what would be your concern in that? Because the carriers, at the end of the day, ultimately, the carriers are coming in and putting the equipment in your municipality, right? Via DAS or ODAS or PON or however they're distributing all that, okay? So they're gonna come and put the equipment in. Now, I wasn't gonna get into all that tonight. We have ODAS relationships. We have relationships with Samsung, Ruckus, Cisco, Aruba, all those people. So we're constantly monitoring that. if you want to have a private conversation, I'll tell you some really cool things that are going on behind the scenes.
We don't want to have that conversation.
He just asked. He just asked. I don't want to either.
But our committees of the whole do last an hour, so we're about 45 minutes now into our session. And I do want to ask at least one other councilman I know who has a question, and that's Alderman Favor.
So I had a couple of questions. One is as Alderman Jacobson said and stole my thunder, I was going to tell you, we all went to this IML conference, and analytics was a big deal. And yeah, it's moving away from, the 30-mile radius and how many towns do you hit and things like that. They're using the cell phone to collect all the data. And I'm curious if the analytics, where you're talking about the demographics, is that only if someone, so only 42% of the data will only get demographics if they use their Facebook account?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So we wouldn't get, you wouldn't be able to pull any other information if it's...
Okay, so we could go in backwards and do some stuff. We're not doing that these days because we
survey.
Yeah, we could resurvey them and do stuff like that. We're very guarded about our analytics. We don't get people's phone number, we don't get people's social security, we don't want anything about that from the user, because I know I wouldn't want that out there, okay? As far as, there are other ways to gather analytics. We have channel partners all over the place, one of them being a camera company. We could hook cameras in. The cameras, as people come in, it doesn't tell you who they are, but it'll tell you they're a male, it'll tell you their age, their race, and their gender. We could do that. It's expensive, but we can do all that. Or we could do it in certain areas for the university too. It just depends on, how much money is there and what do you really want.
And then how easy is it to pull analytics? Like
Dave
said, we've got, somebody comes in and says, I'm interested in renting this building. What's your retail trade area? Sure. What's your traffic in front of the store? How quickly could we, and do we have access to that, or do we have to request?
Yes, you have your own dashboard.
Okay.
And when we built this dashboard, listen, you can go crazy with analytics. I mean, you can go so deep.
Love to. That would be great.
Okay. So that's fine, and that's there for you. But we also have to build it for normal people that just want to know how many people came in, how many people logged in. Our dashboard's really simple. You log in, it shows you a chart. Here's all the people that logged in this day, how many were new versus returning. You can click one button deeper, you can find out how many people entered that building, and then all your login information. And one click over, you get the demographic and age demo stuff. It's that simple. We can go crazy, we have APIs, we can deliver all sorts of cool stuff. But we also do, even for the carriers and for the technical guys over here, we're gonna show you what devices they logged in with. The operating systems, all that. Again, not personal information, but good information for carriers, and you can know, holy cow, like look at all the Apple users versus the Android users if you're interested in that.
Okay. And then just a disclaimer too. One of the things they said at the conference, so that, obviously anybody who uses a cell phone is being tracked. So if you have location services on, if you have any free apps on your phone, this isn't necessarily Big Brother coming after you. You're already being tracked. It's not, so that's what you give up. And I'm glad you already said too, what we give up a little bit of is the sponsorship of the network and things. That was going to be one of my questions. The last thing I had a question about was the lobby.
To your point there?
Yes.
That's exactly why did you ever read the terms of service on some of these apps?
Yes.
I do not have the Facebook Messenger app. I mean, they could tell how many times I went to the bathroom. I'm not about that. Okay.
They want to turn on your camera and.
That's right.
One you're going to give up.
That's right.
Right. The other question I had is the lobby, is the lobby that's set up after the person logs in, is that the city sets up the lobby, or could an individual store? You know what I'm saying? Like, could you?
It's all. So
okay, because I think that would be great for our downtown merchants and other advertisers to be able to, have a location.
It's specific to the place.
Okay.
Now, having said that, if you have different zones in the city that you want to specify, those can have their own lobby pages that as the people log in at that specific location, they'll get that lobby.
Okay.
But if it's an individual business, that belongs to them. That's their lobby board. It'll still go out into the Go Local, but when the person's at that location, that's what they'll see.
There is requirements. You have to have content. If you have a historical
Right.
district, you have to have Instagram, some pictures, it's gotta be, you have to pull it from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We do want to provide time for anybody from our audience to participate in this committee of the whole. However, Mark, I see that we have representatives from Northern Illinois University here. I don't know if they care to say anything at this time. If they do, fine. But I want to just get their take on digital lobby and whether this is something that is as attractive to the university at this point as it apparently is to our staff. Is that a fair question?
This one or this one? Okay, maybe both. Hi, so thank you for asking. My name is Brett Coriel. I'm our Vice President for IT. Also in the audience, we have Saul Jensen. He's another Vice President, Enrollment Marketing and Management. We've both met with Digital Lobby. Mark has invited us in from the beginning. We're supportive as an institution, and we're gonna look at it as well. So I think what you've seen tonight, from my perspective for the university, definitely interesting. From my perspective as the university looking at the city of DeKalb and through the communiversity meetings that we've had together through President Baker's term and now into President Freeman's term, for me, this makes sense for you. And especially just as I look, kind of straight across over Anne Marie's shoulder and I see City of DeKalb opportunity and innovation. If you have needs to find out who's here, if you have needs to serve a kind of a Wi-Fi, a mobile generation, then today you have nothing, right? And whether this is the platform you're going to be on 10 years from now is not ultimately the point. The point is taking a first step. And yes, the technologies will evolve, your partnerships may evolve, but you shouldn't compare it with maybe buyer's remorse 2 years from now. If you have buyer's remorse at that time, it only means that you've learned what you really want and you can go do a better partnership the next time around. But inaction today will leave you in the same state or worse 2 years from now. So, I mean, my subtle, or not so subtle, encouragement from the outside is, yeah, I'd move forward. I really would. If I may, it's not directly responsive to your question, but I'd like to make one more statement.
Please do.
Okay. With respect to Kevin, I would say that the council has wisely asked him about security, but asking a vendor if they're secure is like asking a dog if it's hungry. You only get kind of a yes answer out of that. So I would say that security is very hard. And I say that as the CIO for NIU. Security is very hard, and no organization on the planet has shown that it's able to withstand an intentional, sustained attack. The only thing you can do is try to detect a response. There are many types of attacks. There are many ways of detecting. There are many ways of responding. No simple answer to that question is a viable answer, and I would recommend to you, if you are interested in that you have a kind of a deeper discussion with your kind of chosen, paid-for IT director and ask him in detail what he thinks about the security of the solution and how he's going to stand behind the vendor partner to protect the municipal Wi-Fi. I think that will give you a better sense of not just is it secure or not, but really you need to know where your risks are. And your IT director should give that to you.
Believe me, we will ask Mark those questions. And that sort of flows into my comment that I had misspoke, that this item was not on the regular agenda. In fact, we are going to be discussing this very project as part and parcel of our regular agenda, which will start at 6 o'clock. Before we adjourn out of our committee of the whole meeting, is there anybody from our audience who would like to speak to this topic? Is there anybody from our audience who would like to speak on any item not on the agenda, which is this topic?
And Mayor?
Anne Marie, yes.
Yes, before we end, I want to turn it back over to Director Thorson to clarify what direction we're looking for in the committee of the whole meeting versus the direction that's going to take place during the city council, because I want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of the two differences. I mean, ultimately, I think the direction we want coming out of this meeting, are you in support of this initiative? If so, we would continue to work forward on working with the vendor on an agreement and bringing that back before you for your review. But I want to make sure Director Thorson has the closing comments.
Absolutely. So thank you very much. And yes, that is exactly where I was going to lead this part of the discussion is the city has not had any conversations with Digital Lobby and NIU beyond understanding what can be what's capable and what can be done. We wanted to bring it here and make sure that we got the full council's feedback before we were able to move forward. So with that, I just would like to know that if it is the council's direction for staff to be directed to continue conversations and start with negotiations and other aspects of this project and dive deeper into this.
Thank you, Mark. Interesting discussion. I'd like to call, ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
No, it's not a vote.
I beg your pardon?
All right, never mind.
We're okay. Keep going.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Regular council session at 6 o'clock.
I know where you were going. We didn't give any direction.
We didn't give any direction.
What did I do?
We didn't give any direction.
We're not supposed to.